Hello, listeners, and welcome to episode 7 of the Bachelors of Dice podcast, a podcast about Marvel Dice Masters, Avengers vs. X-Men, the dice building game from WizKids. I am one of your co-hosts, Kevin, and with me are...
Adam.
And...
Matthew.
Oh man, we're gonna get it right one of these days.
I didn't know how to jump in this time.
All right, well, we are back from, it seems like a bit of a hiatus, but probably not really compared to all of the other spacing of our other episodes. But I gotta say, I'll say right up front, I am super excited about the game, and this is probably the most excited I've been about the game since like the day before it actually came out. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff that they're putting up, like I think the Avengers vs. X-Men set is great. If I had never seen the Uncanny set, I'd been like, awesome, this is great. You know, there's some cards more powerful than others, whatever. But looking at some of the abilities and some of the cards coming out, it almost makes it feel like half a game just knowing what's on the horizon.
Yeah. I totally agree. It's like, yeah, and actually, Adam, I think you pointed out a couple episodes ago that we're going to have to change the intro, because right now I think I'm still saying the Dice Masters Avengers vs. X-Men. Really, it's going to be just Dice Masters, I guess.
Dice Masters. From
now on.
I assume there's going to be 20 different themes coming down the road.
Yeah.
Which I'm okay with. I'll buy them all.
Hold on to my Transformers hopes.
Yeah, there you go. I'm sure it'll happen eventually. So yeah, there's just been a ton of spoilers and a lot of news coming out. The last episode we recorded was right before Gen Con, and we meant to come back kind of quickly. I know I got sidetracked with a bit of a move. We picked up and moved to a different house, and then I went on vacation for a week, which obviously didn't help things either. So we're still in the process of unpacking. I'll honestly say I haven't touched my dice probably since the last episode that we recorded. But that said, there's been so much news that I feel like I have played almost, or that I'm, just as jazzed about the game without even having played, if that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
So yeah, this episode we're really, I know we had talked about some stuff in the past about doing, a starter deck discussion, and I will tease that for the future, and I will continue to tease that for the future, because it's something I really believe should be done at some point. But for this episode, there's just been so much news that we decided to focus on that and kind of table other discussions until we're really ready to. That's the other thing. Since I haven't had a chance to play, I didn't really get a chance to play test any of these starter decks ideas that I had. And yeah, since we were barraged with news from Gen Con and WizKids Facebook posts and everything else, then yeah, let's just do that tonight, and I'm sure that'll be more than enough. Hopefully not too long, but hopefully just enough.
Oh, it'll be long.
Yeah. Yeah, that last episode too, I know was pretty long, and I know we kind of suffered from a bit of, I know myself, I suffered from rambling a little bit. I'm going to try and cut back on that, and I know we're also better prepared. I have all the links that we were going to talk about. I have them pulled up, so there won't be any hopefully not any downtime. Mm-hmm. With that being said, I'll go ahead and just kind of talk about what we're going to talk about this episode, all the Gen Con stuff, obviously. The news that WizKids has come out with recently. There was a presentation by WizKids at an Alliance distribution event, open house event, I think. And so some news came out about Justice League and Dice Master, D&D Dice Masters. And then ever since then, for the past 2 or 3 days, they've been spoiling cards from the Uncanny X-Men set on Facebook, one by one. I think we're up to 7 or 8 at this point.
8.
8. Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, and then not to be outdone is we're on the eve, or the eve of the first WizKids Open event, which Matthew will be attending. Mm-hmm. Oh, actually, yeah, I should go ahead and mention the fact that Matthew is now an official member of our podcast.
Yay!
Hey.
I'm clapping.
Thank
I'm
you,
looking
thank
here.
Thank you.
Because he said he could go to the open event and bring us back starter sets for everybody. No, really, it's because he did a very good job as a guest host, and we're also somewhat lazy in our selection process. No, I'm just kidding. He did a really good job as a guest host, and we played a few games online, and figured we all kind of got along pretty well, and he was a good fit. So he is now an official member of the Dice Masters podcast. Congratulations. Do you have anything to say?
No, I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
All right. So yeah, we're going to talk about what he plans on doing at that open event, how he plans to win it all,
Hopefully.
and
I'm
then
going on eBay.
win it by selling everything. And then we'll just wrap it up with our generic podcast info and maybe some other discussions, random discussions. All right, so Gen Con happened. Seemed like a while ago, but I guess it was only like 3 weeks ago at this point. And the news was not, I guess, as much. There wasn't as much of it as I think any of us were hoping. I even watched the Board Game Geek kind of presentation. I don't even know what you call them. Board Game Geek TV presentation.
Oh yeah. That interview.
Yeah, that Scott from WizKids did. And yeah, they really just talked about the kind of extraneous products that they had, right?
Yeah, I think so.
They didn't even really get into the new set or the new cards. The first thing that I saw was on the Crit to Hit website. They went by the booth and took a bunch of pictures. I guess very similar to San Diego Comic-Con, they kind of had a display in a case. They didn't really put out too many cards, though. I'm sorry. They put out a lot of cards, but they fanned them all, and you couldn't really see too many of them. I think there was maybe like 5 or 6 cards that you could actually read.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, you can see some kind of affiliations and costs. Not a whole lot of low-cost characters, which I'm happy about, but I like the bigger, beefier characters, personally.
And two of the cards that we saw were blank, which is now a heated debate as to whether or not they are going to just leave them blank like that, or they were just pre-production copies that just hadn't had their text filled in yet.
Yeah. I can't imagine they would leave them blank, and they would at least adjust the white area so that it wasn't quite so big. And even the Ghost Rider die that doesn't have any text just says, "Yep, doesn't have any text."
Yeah, I gotta believe that there'll be something, but so I'm officially in that camp that there will be something, but yeah, looking at all the fan cards too, you saw the Falcon and the Ant-Man that were 2 cost, and then I believe there was only one other that's an X-Man that's a 2 cost. Everything else, well, there's some 3s obviously also. And then just a whole lot of 4s and 5s, but very few 2s from what we can see so far. I'm trying to think of what else about their pictures. The other thing people noticed was the collector's box instead of the setup box. So that was an immediate question, like, what's the difference? And I don't believe there is any, other than what they're calling it.
In fact, I think on the Board Game Geek interview, he brought them both out and said, yeah, they're the same thing, which is probably good because I know a lot of people were confused about the term setup box. So you call it a collector's box. They know a little. Oh, okay, I get it. It's not something I need. It's something for people that are obsessed with this, like myself, to buy.
Yeah, there were a lot of posts on Board Game Geek about the setup box and what they thought it included that it didn't include, which I guess I was confused about because I thought it was pretty common knowledge what it included, but I guess if you didn't really know much about the game at all, or if you had tried to get into it but couldn't back in April because of lack of product availability, and then you
Mhm.
came back to it a few months later and said, "Hey, there's a setup box. I'll just buy that."
Yeah.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
see that you would get a little disappointed by that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I just picked up a setup box from my store as well,
Oh yeah.
I did too.
just for the shiny dice.
Mm-hmm.
Oh right, the translucent dice. I forgot about those. Or wait, pearlescent. Pearlescent.
Yeah,
Pearlescent. Okay.
they just look gray.
I
They
like how
actually look worse.
I like the sidekick dice, but I'm not sure I like the action dice because the colors don't pop
uh,
Yeah, they're
like they
very
do in the
muted.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I haven't really been to any stores lately, so I couldn't even tell you if there's any available around here. But I guess I will check it out. I mean, are you using it as a storage solution too, then, or were you really just buying it for the dice?
I'm
I put I using as storage and for the dice, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm using it for a dice storage also.
And did
I
you?
took everything that wouldn't fit because you can put stuff on that top tray, but instead I just put that on the side, one of the side trays, and it fits in perfectly. And figure that's what I'll be taking to the open with me, so it's less stuff to carry because I can put the FAQ sheet in there, and I can put pens and whatever else I need in there as well.
Oh, okay. Cool. And did you pull any good characters? Any rares, super rares?
Uh, no, actually, all the as it comes with 4 boosters in there, right?
Right.
Those
Right.
were all a bust for me. I didn't
Uh,
get anything. I did get a gravity feed in that I pulled a Serena out of. I don't remember if I had pulled that by last time.
okay.
And so now I have a lot of cards. I don't. I'm still missing a few rares and 2 of the super rares, of course. But I'm at the point where it's like I don't feel like I need to be buying a whole lot of boosters anymore unless we're playing draft.
Right. Right. How about you, Adam? Did you get anything? Good.
In the 4 packs, I don't think I got absolutely any dice that I needed. I'm pretty sure all the cards were doubles for me as well.
Hmm.
There were lots of people saying they were getting ultra rares in them, so I was really excited when I got mine.
Yeah, that's what I had seen too. I'd seen a couple people that were like, "Oh, there's no way they're gonna put super rares in there," and then some people were like, "Yeah, I got one."
Yeah,
So,
I'm at the point now where I have so many extra dice and nobody wants them that like I could literally just throw them in the garbage almost and it wouldn't even matter.
I started doing that with all my commons. I was like, these aren't even worth trading. I just tossed them all.
Yeah, they're not. They really aren't. You can't do anything. If you have a paper shredder, just drop them in.
use
It
them
sounds
as
bad,
like,
but
yeah, shred them up and use them as packaging for when you have to ship something.
yeah,
Start
even
start using
uncommons.
start using all those extra dice for miniature game terrain.
Ah, there you go. So yeah, not a lot from the display case or from the actual convention floor itself. However, I guess it was Friday. I think the guys from RollForCrit.com actually got their hands on a Uncanny starter set. To which I thought, oh my god, this is my nightmare because I was hemming and hawing about going to Gen Con because I thought Uncanny might be there, and then I was like, oh, there's no way it's going to be there. Then they pushed it back to October, so I was like, oh, there's even no more way that it's going to be there. And then I see a post with somebody holding the starter box. I was like, no. It turns out they really only got to have it for a little bit, look at it, open it, look at it, take a couple pictures, and then they had to give it back, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I guess the weirdest part to me is that they didn't take more pictures, but I don't know if they were limited in time or if they just didn't know how exclusive
Yeah,
it was
I
going to
had
be.
asked him about something. I had asked him on their site if they got a chance to flip through the rule book and see if there were any clarifications, and they said, "Oh, well, we didn't look too close because we didn't realize that it was going to be such an exclusive kind of thing." So they
Uh,
had the world in their hands and didn't realize it.
That's
Oh,
probably
wow.
the biggest missed opportunity by far.
They
Yeah.
still had some, yeah. I mean, they still had some cool coverage of it. They just didn't quite realize what they were sitting on. It sounds like.
Yeah. And the good thing they did is took a picture of the actual expansion pack checklist, so you could kind of get a sense for. Well, obviously you had the list of all the characters that were going to be coming out, so we knew exactly that it was only 36 and not 38. We found out who the super rares were going to be, and those were Emma Frost, Iron Man, Scarlet Witch, and Spider Man.
Mm.
And then from some of the names of the cards, you got to kind of see that there were a couple arch villains, there was a couple superheroes. Um, I think there was something else that was Hellfire
Uh,
Club.
yes.
There was multiple ones with Hellfire Club. Uh,
Which, from looking at some of the spoilers, I can't actually find. None of them actually seem to have any synergy with each other. So I wonder if there's going to be rules where you can only have one Hellfire Club, one Archvillain, one et cetera, et cetera. I really, well, except for Superhero, I think that's the one that has the team up, right?
Heroic
yes,
was the name
Or
of it.
Heroic.
yeah,
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
but each one that's superhero has a heroic ability, right?
Hmm.
Right. But for Archvillain and Hellfire Club, I haven't really seen any kind of synergies from what they've shown. Maybe there's others.
No, that's a good point. Yeah, I haven't. Likewise, I haven't seen anything. Uh, Dumb question though. Well, I guess Magneto was part of Hellfire Club at some point.
I think so a long,
Uh,
long time ago.
Oh, really? Okay. I guess I wasn't. I mean, when I think of Hellfire Club, I do think of Emma Frost, and then
mhm.
um, wasn't Phoenix kind of recruited into Hellfire Club at some point, or Jean Grey?
Yeah.
And then obviously Sebastian Shaw, who's not in this set, and of course neither is Jean Grey. But
And
I
then
wasn't
another guy
aware.
who nobody remembers.
Okay. I wasn't aware of It wasn't Magneto the other one? Where is he? Oh wait, he's in the starter set. Um,
Yeah, so his uncommon is the Hellfire Club.
oh, okay, yes, that's what it is. Okay, uh, so yeah, they got some good picks. You saw a couple of Wolverines kind of in the background. I still have yet to see a burst ability for Wolverine, which maybe that's just like the ongoing joke from now on. It's like, oh yeah, we're gonna
uh,
put Wolverine in every set, but we're never gonna put a burst on him.
No.
We're never gonna give him a burst ability. Why bother? Um, I can't think of anything else from that we could glean. I mean, obviously we know who all the starter characters are. Oh, that transfer power basic action card they took a picture of. That was pretty cool.
yes, absolutely.
Oh, with the global too. Swap the attack. Oh, that was it. Pay a shield to swap the attack value of one of your characters with that of one opposing character. You're gonna see. I think you're gonna see that a lot. I really
Hmm.
do. Because that's sick.
It really is.
And the one of the points that I kind of made when it came out, I think it was on Board Game Geek, was that this really drives the game towards low cost characters because the high cost characters typically have better stats.
Hmm.
So why would I want to put in a guy with big stats if he's then just going to be used against me?
Yeah.
Or his power, or not his power, but his attack value can just be used right back against him. I don't know. I'm sure there's going to be ways around it. And I guess there's always distraction too. But yeah, that's a neat ability. I'll be very curious to see how it plays out in the game. I think it's going to be a popular one though. That's my prediction. Anything else from the starter set, or
Other than like the card art, I think is a lot better than the Avengers versus X-Men set. Like these, the images they use are, I think, a lot better, anyways.
Okay.
Especially
I'm with you on that.
Magneto.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. No, that's true. But they're all still straight from comics, probably.
hmm
Okay.
Someone was asking about the Iron Man art, and someone was able to dig up what comic book cover it was pulled from.
Oh, really? Cool.
It's
Yeah,
his current black and gold armor.
Ah, nice.
I know with the Avengers versus X-Men, every single character card was a comic book cover. I had a list going on because I was going to do a preview, but I never got around to it. So this is probably going to be the exact same.
Oh, straight off of a cover. Okay.
Yep,
Neat.
of comic book covers.
All right. And then in the middle of Gen Con, they spoiled the month four. Month four? This is month four, right?
Yes.
OP cards. Um, this was from, I found this on the Bleeding Cool website, where you have Colossus Phoenix Force and the Teleport basic action card. My month four event is next weekend, I believe. I don't know about you guys if you've already participated or not yet.
It's the last. I think there's one the last week and one the week before the last week of this month. So.
Oh, okay, okay. So the Colossus is the first Phoenix Force affiliation we've seen. Has a interesting global. Where you pay 2 fists and it doubles the attack and defense of one of your fielded Phoenix Force dice this turn, once per turn. So I guess it's a global, but not really if nobody else, if your opponent isn't using
Is
the
it
Phoenix Force.
It is the only current character that can use it, and man, 8 to
Yeah.
buy. I don't.
That's high.
Yeah, he has a pretty cool ability, but dang, I don't know if I can get an 8 cost character out.
Now the weird thing is that Silver Surfer has I think his rare does this very thing, except without having to pay. And all you need to do is have less life than your opponent, and it's automatic that his attack and defense are doubled.
Mm-hmm.
And if I remember correctly, his stats are pretty comparable to Colossus. So yeah, I don't know if this one's going to get a lot of play, but I guess we'll wait and see what the rest of the Phoenix Force cards are.
Yeah, probably not initially. I mean, his active ability is neat. You can whittle down those little characters a little bit at a time, but. I mean, granted, if he gets through unblocked, he can potentially do 16 damage in one swing. So.
Yeah, no, that's true. That could be your game ender, which I guess would make sense. And then the teleport basic action card allows you to swap your fielded character with a character die of the same energy type from your use pile or prep area, spin it to the same level, and it has a burst ability to spin it up a level. The card art for that, who's like in the mug shot? Is that Cyclops with just a weird helmet, or is it somebody else
I think it actually might be Cyclops.
with like Cerebro on his head or something? Or
It would make sense. He's been an outlaw for a little bit, especially wearing that suit. But I don't know.
Yeah, that was the only thing that kind of stuck out.
Yeah, I really like the card, and one of I said I like the high cost characters, but one of the things is it takes a little bit to kind of ramp up to where you're rolling that energy, and then on top of that you have to cycle through your bag and grab that. So now if you buy some teleports early and you buy those high cost characters later, you can get them out right away. At least you're not having to worry about cycle through your bag and then, oh hey, look, my Cyclops was at the bottom and I never pulled him. Once you get everything back in there, so you can, if you build your team the right way, as soon as you buy a character, you can potentially throw them out there, which is neat.
Yeah, especially if you got a bunch of cheapies and you're ready to make the switch to more expensive guys. Or I mean, well, if you have cheapies early and then you have bigger, better characters later that you want to, yeah, like you said, get out quicker and not have
Mhm.
to cycle through. But swap is not field, I guess is what we just learned
Yes.
today, actually.
Yes.
There was some speculation though as to whether or not this was considered fielding a character, and I think we correctly predicted that the terminology swap is not the same as field.
Yes.
Uh, so we got that to look forward to in month 4, hopefully. All right, and then let me see. I want to say the last bit of news to come out of Gen Con was from the Dice Tower News.
Mhm.
And for whatever reason, they just got a picture of 6 cards, somewhat randomly, I think, from the set. All of which were kind of neat. I think they were all commons, too. I think the most notable one, well, there was a 3-cost villain. That's the Scarlet Witch.
Which is great that she's a villain. That's nice. It's a
Yeah.
nice touch.
And then the other one was Cerebro, which I guess is the only action die in this set. And there are some questions about like how it worked. And Adam, can you make out the text on there?
It says place Cerebro on an X-Men Dies card. It remains there until you or a card effect removes it. It is still in the field. That was in brackets. When you field a die from that card, knock out one opposing die. Okay, let me just process that now.
Yeah, right. I think the big question was like, once you put it out there, how on earth?
Can it be removed?
Yeah, how does it go away? Like, it's not like it doesn't seem like it's a one-time use. It seems like it just sits there.
Yeah. And I think that was answered with their latest spoiler today.
Oh, okay, that's right. It was a Namor card that did
Yes.
something.
Which is one of my favorite cards that I have seen from this new set.
Okay.
It's a wind blocking ability, and wind blocking you may cancel one active action effect. Oh, we'll get to the others later, but then move that action die to its owner's use pile if necessary, which explains more of why they used the terminology they did. I think in there you cancel the action and then you move it. But yeah, until that came out, we were all kind of wondering like why why say that it's even in the field, and I guess now we know.
Yeah, because I mean, if you have something that says like KO an opposing character, does it? I was gonna say like Punisher when he attacks, he can KO an opposing character.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like he's targeting a die, so you can't really use that, right?
I would think not.
Yeah, Cerebro being placed on Beast would be pretty good.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Yeah. I stole your strategy already. Excellent.
Well, I mean, really, any cheap character that you're going to be fielding often and who's going to get killed often,
Mm-hmm.
Storm or the Storm Row or the Beast, I think would be 2 great candidates. Although if they're attacking because you want to cycle them through, they're probably not attacking for a lot, and so therefore your opponent's probably just going to let it through. Might be a little bit slower, but if you have 4 of them in your bag, then you might be in pretty good shape. Toad was more expensive than I was expecting too. That was the other thing.
Yeah, that.
I mean, Toad should not be an expensive villain.
Yeah, he
He's
has
5.
mid stats too. Maybe it's because he has mid attack and defense, but
So yeah, that was the only other odd one. I mean, the other ones seem cool. Um, when Pyro's blocked, he deals 1 damage to your opponent. That's kind of neat.
Oh, that toad card actually, the
Oh, it's
text.
yeah.
Yeah, that's why it costs 5.
Mhm.
Well, toad is
Oh,
active.
right, right.
Opposing non-psychic character must attack if legal. And then if he's level 1 or 2, the opposing character takes 2 damage when they attack.
Hmm.
Oh,
Opposing
that's pretty
characters
good.
take 2 damage.
I'm
Oh,
not
wow.
gonna lie, I actually missed this post early on, so this is
Oh,
my
okay.
first time seeing it.
Oh, well, nice.
Yeah, I don't know how I missed this one.
Yeah, I mean, I guess when you field him, you better hope that your opponent doesn't have spare energy, because chances are they would just force him to attack right away.
Yeah.
They don't want him to be active on their turn. Um, oh yeah, especially if opposing characters take 2 damage when they attack. Wow, that is
Yeah.
pretty good actually.
I think everybody's gonna have this card in their decks, because that's gonna speed up tournament play to make everyone attack.
Hmm. Well, I mean, you're still gonna. Well, yeah. Then I think Magneto also, between this card and probably a few others that we've seen. I think Magneto, uh, any Magneto with a global, with the
Mhm.
reroll villain die global, is going to be in every constructed deck, because there's a lot better villains now,
Yes.
and you just cannot risk, especially something like this with while he's active.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to be able to re-roll him.
And I know we're going to get into this later on, but I just wanted to say that it's nice seeing that there are some heroes who are also villains, which is just great that they did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first couple cards that they had spoiled, um, it kind of gave the impression that they were all going to be the same affiliation. And you're like, because I remember we saw a Namor card early, and it was Avengers. We're like, oh
Hmm.
wow, that's kind of weird. But then we saw all three of them today. One's Avengers, one's X-Men, and one's unaffiliated. So no, that's fine to bring it up now, because it's a really good point. I'm glad they did that too.
Mhm.
All right. So yeah, and I think that was it from Gen Con. Was there anything else Dice Masters related from Gen Con itself?
Not really. They didn't seem to have well, they had their tournament, and
Oh,
apparently it
right.
didn't go great. Or I don't think it was the Dice Masters show. I think it was the Attack Wing tournament that people were unhappy with. But
I didn't hear
which
great things about Dice Masters either. There was actually a guy that emailed me about it, and I think he played in multiple events. A few of them went fine. There wasn't really anything special about them, and a few of them, there were rules questions that I don't know if it was him or somebody else felt like they were getting differing answers on.
Mhm.
Um, and then at the end of it, they gave away like the month one OP cards, I guess. So
Yeah.
not a great incentive, I think, to participate, other than if you really loved playing the game and wanted to just get more and more and more experience. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, without knowing how they were staffing it or whatever, um, it didn't sound like every tournament judge necessarily was up on the game, uh, and they might have been there more for hero clicks or for attack wing or something else, and just kind of got conscripted into judging the Dice Masters games as well. Um,
Yeah, yeah. That I think probably sounds right.
but yeah, they had no product really as far as I know, they didn't really have any product to sell there.
No, which is good on them because I know they said that until they started actually getting these products out to stores, they didn't basically want to steal any for themselves to sell at these conventions, which they could have done, and they could have promoted these big draft things, but they're kind of taking the hit on it to get the product out to stores, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, it's cool, and I almost feel bad for them, just because. Well, I mean, I feel bad for them. I also feel bad for the community because they missed an opportunity to probably introduce the game to a ton of people.
Yeah.
I mean, they had what, like 50,000 people at Gen Con. I'm sure, many of which would have been interested. I mean, not many as far as I don't know, maybe even if like a percent of those people that didn't really know about the game happened to stop by the booth and were able to pick it up and start playing it. That's a ton more people that could be playing the game right now. And instead, they kind of had to just kind of gloss by that booth or found out about it, but not really be able to get into it.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of a rough one, but good problem to have, I guess, for WizKids. All right. So yeah, after all of that Gen Con stuff, I think it was shortly thereafter they announced that 2015 national championship events for HeroClix and Attack Wing and Dice Masters would not be at Gen Con. In fact, they would be at Origins, which is in Columbus, Ohio. Also, which is closer to both Adam and I by a good, I think 2 or 3 hours apiece. Possibly the same distance from you, Matthew, I'm not sure. But not that I expect to qualify for it, but if they were having any side events or anything, I very well may plan to go, just to kind of see what it's all about, or just look over the shoulder of whoever is winning and say, oh, that's what you're doing.
Should be a good time, even just going to watch.
Yeah, I bet it. I'm imagining it would be pretty interesting, and I'm actually curious to hear your report from the open event, even necessarily not, or in addition to you playing in the events, also just kind of if you have a chance to watch any of the games too. I don't know how much you were planning on sticking around, but
No, I want to stick around as much as possible. Even if I get booted out fairly early on, they're gonna have afternoon and evening rainbow drafts, and those are always opportunities to get more cards. So
that's true.
I like to do that. I know that they seem to be taking it pretty serious, and look like they're instituting some stuff that they'll probably try for future tournaments. Because I know they said at Origins they're going to start doing a ticketing system to make things a little bit easier to manage. But at the open events, there's actually going to be, going back to the whole judge thing. They're supposed to have head judges for each of the events, and so they're going to have these little, the judges that are, I guess, roaming around or by tables, however they do it. And then if you don't like the ruling that he gives, you can appeal to the head judge, and then he will go for these big questions if you don't agree with the ruling that judge gave. So it sounds like maybe they're feeling out some of the better ways to handle these big tournaments that are going on. And I think the head judge idea is fantastic. I mean, that's, you would assume that it's a WizKids employee or somebody that is very versed in the game,
right?
Because that would know these really awkward situations that most people wouldn't even think of.
Well, yeah. I mean, then add that to the list of things that I'm curious to hear about how that goes, or if you have any questions yourself that come up that have to go up the ladder, or if you just witness anything come up. Definitely be curious to hear how that's resolved. But yeah, I mean, we can go ahead and spill into that discussion now, since it's applicable. The open event is on Saturday?
It is, yes. And it's an all-day thing. I think the first event, for Dice Masters, I mean, they're having all their events. They're the
right.
HeroClix, which is by far the biggest, and Attack Wing, which is also massively popular. and then Dice Masters. When I checked yesterday, they actually closed. Technically, they closed pre-registration at the end of last month, but I've seen more people come on. I think there's 24 people registered for it now, and unless it fills up, everybody that pre-registered gets gets their a guaranteed seat, and also gets sent to the front of the line to buy the starter set for Uncanny X-Men.
Very nice.
So yeah, I made sure that I'm paid up and registered and everything. But I said I think there's about 24 people. That doesn't mean those are all the people that are going to show up. But initially, the numbers weren't huge, and it's like, oh, maybe it's just going to be real small. But I think a lot of people are actually kind of gravitating towards Dice Masters. As far as that, I'm sure the Hero Clicks tournament will be crazy and extremely competitive. People love Hero Clicks, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe the first Dice Masters draft starts at 11, and it's scheduled to go until like 11 at night for the finals. So, yeah, and it'll be an all-day thing. I'm gonna leave nice and early, make sure I get there early, and try to sign up for at least the first draft. And I will be taking pictures. Hopefully, I will be able to buy some stuff and get some good cards from the next set. And it's as long as I'm over there, I might as well stay as late as possible, unless it's just going crazy. But so I'm not going to stay there. I'm going to drive back home. But yeah, no, it's an all-day thing. I'm going to try to get as much information as possible, and pester the judge a little bit about some of the extra questions that I have, if they allow me to ask.
After your tournament, or like after one of your games is over, you just go over and stand next to the head judge and be like, "Oh yeah, so I had some questions," and you like pull out this laundry list. Yeah, well, that's cool, and I'm not gonna lie, I got my fingers crossed that an extra Uncanny X-Men starter set finds its way into your bag and ends up at the UPS store on its way to New Jersey. But
I'll be looking to try and get them.
Yeah, if it doesn't, I won't be heartbroken. But
if possible, I don't know how many they're gonna have. I'll definitely be trying to get a couple extras.
And yeah, remind me to give you the access, or you probably already have it, to our Facebook page. So if you want to post using our site, you're welcome to do it. Or if you want to post on your own too, that's fine too.
Yeah. No, listen, I'll be probably taking some pictures, and certainly once I get back and kind of get the cards a little more organized, I'll be trying to get some good spoiler images up of everything in the starter set at least, and we can certainly post those to the Facebook page. So people should keep an eye out on that this weekend. Well, by the time they hear this, it will have already passed. So
that's true.
They should have been keeping an eye on the Facebook page.
Yeah. Hopefully you watched our Facebook page. Well, I mean, since we mentioned it, I guess we can go ahead and talk about, too, what kind of rules questions that we might want asked or answered. I know a few of them have already kind of been clarified through the FAQ update, which was just released this afternoon. Although not as many FAQ questions got added that I would have expected. I think it was like 4 or 5.
Yeah, it wasn't too many. I know they ended up. One of them ended up clarifying kind of the timing of when damage is dealt. There was, of course, the big one for me was rally and teleport that do not count as fueling, which again, like you said, I think most people figured that was the case, but that's not going to stop people from trying to use unclear wording to their advantage.
Sure.
I think the only one, I mean, there's others I would like, but the one that I would like cleared up for sure would probably be my first question once I get there, is if you have to assign as much damage as possible if you are blocked by multiple blockers, or if you can just assign all your, like how you assign your damage. So, if 2 people block me, can I just assign all my damage to one, or do I have to piece it out as much as possible?
Gotcha.
Because that's one of the questions I feel is one of the legit unclear questions. I personally feel that their intention is that you deal as much damage as possible, but I could be completely wrong on that. I really don't know.
Hmm. And then teamwork, I think, is the other big one that's kind of hanging out there. I know somebody got an email saying that it was, in fact, that characters could buff themselves, but
Right.
I still question that without it being in the FAQ.
Yeah, yeah,
I'd
that
love to
that, that
hear
would
it.
be a nice clarification. Not a whole lot of people seem to use teamwork, so it probably won't be a huge thing. Yeah, that seems to be a legit one to ask as well.
And then another one that has kind of come up with the use of some of the basic actions, or the global abilities, is it are there requirements as far as an example was like thrown car, that
Hmm.
it gives two characters plus one attack each, and then damage from that exceeds the blocking characters from their attacks uh, goes to your opponent. There was an argument whether or not it required two characters to be buffed or to be to use to attack with. Um, I was in the camp that the wording does not explicitly make that clear. But
Yeah, yeah.
I can see the arguments the other way.
Yeah, yeah, because that one it's not one of those ones that says up to two characters or up to three characters. It specifically mentions two. So yeah, that's a good one too. Like that, if it says have these, do you need the targets? Do you need all the valid targets to be able to use it? Which is similar to the other ones that say pay. I think the one I looked at was Mjolnir. The pay two bolts to damage one target character. It's like, well, can you pay two bolts if there's not a target to be able to use it on? Which would, move the die into the used pile and potentially cause other shenanigans. So yeah, those two feel kind of go hand in hand, and yeah, that would be good clarification as well.
Yeah, so I mean, I know some people say that basically you use as much as you can from abilities like that, whereas people say no, you have to use the number specified.
Hmm.
So that'll be a good general question to ask. Um, and then one other that I had that I think you said was answered already was regarding like the Captain America and Nick Fury cards. One says no matter how many, and Nick Fury doesn't say that.
Right. Yeah, I think that's just more or less reminder text. They go kind of into detail in one of the FAQ questions about when active effects, and they always say if it's a when active effect or while active effect, then it doesn't matter how many characters you have out there, they wouldn't stack
Gotcha.
unless your opponent is running the same character and they are also active. Um, the two sides seem to be between you and your opponent seem to be considered completely different characters, even if they share
Right.
the same name or abilities.
I guess the only way they could double up would be if you had the same character and then one of you had Mystique copying the abilities or something of that other
Hmm.
character. So, okay. No, that makes sense. Adam, did you have any other questions that I didn't think of?
No, I actually was trying to find some earlier. I couldn't think of any as I was going through the cards. I know I've been silent. Sometimes I get lost in the listening.
No, that's okay. I just didn't want to. I wanted to make sure that there wasn't anything because we've had rules questions come up like in the middle of our games even.
Yeah.
That like when you're in the middle of a game, it's like, oh, I should know this, but I can't think of it right now because I'm just not thinking of that specific thing. And then
Yeah.
afterwards, you watch the game back and you're like, oh yeah, duh, of course the answer is this.
The main two are Teamwork and Throne Car. Throne Car being the weird one. Whether or not you require two characters.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, you've got some homework. You've got some assignments, I guess, and I'm not going to say that your involvement in the Bachelors of Dice podcast hinges on you coming back with answers, but it actually more hinges on my ability to get a starter set from the Uncanny. Anyway, moving on. We can talk about DC Dice Masters Justice League.
Ah, yes.
That was Where did that come from? That came from a tweet or from was it from WizKids that spoiled it?
No, it was somebody on Board Game Geek searched. I guess they were just doing Google searches. I can't remember the person's name, and then the website. Oh God, was it Devere Americans?
Oh, right.
Is this a word?
I think it's a Spanish
distributor. Yeah.
Oh, okay, now I just feel bad. Yeah, he found it. He posted it, which is awesome because I know everyone else got excited like myself. The biggest thing that I know is obviously they moved away from the Injustice name to just Justice League.
Yes.
I think that's a smart move.
Yeah.
Now, the expected release is not till March of next year.
Mm-hmm.
Spring.
Yeah.
Yeah, spring.
But you can see the starter characters, who I think we've all. Oh, wait, no.
Yeah.
Have they all been identified?
Yeah, I think so. One of the things that DC has it going for it over Marvel is that the iconography for all their characters is typically a lot easier to tell.
Okay, so who's under Batman?
Zatanna? It's the magician lady, right?
Okay.
Her name is in the description as well. I assume it's her.
Yeah.
She's the one with the top hat.
Oh, jeez. I didn't even look at that list.
Yeah,
right.
they made it easy for it.
And more. Who's
when
more?
I first looked at the dice, I think it's the Martian Manhunter's little green Monopoly house right there. I was just like, what is that? I thought it was like, it's a Monopoly house.
It's Vision.
It's
And is that Green Arrow underneath? Wait, no. Green Arrow's not a DC, is it? No.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, okay.
Green Arrow, and obviously Deathstroke and Wonder Woman, Batman.
Who's the Omega symbol? That's the only one I don't know. I'm not a huge DC guy.
It's, Omega or Omega Red. One of them is DC. One of them is Marvel.
Omega Red is
Marvel. Yeah.
So yeah, then I think
I'm gonna go out on a limb and assume that WizKids is gonna use this dice for Omega Red in the Marvel version as well. Just from how they've been going so far, I just assume.
Just to confuse everybody.
Yeah, it's compatible. Don't worry.
So yeah, then they had a post for both the starter set and the gravity feed. The gravity feed didn't really offer much more information.
No, nothing at all.
Other than it's going to be 90 count again, much like the Uncanny set.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping that they do an alternate Superman color where it's the black dice with the silver or the white paint for when he came back from the dead with the mullet. I really want that. I really want that card. I have no powers and I have rocket boots. That's what I want. That's my hopes right now.
Nice. This innovative collectible allows players to increase their Dice Masters collection or jump into the game fresh. Oh, the optimism. All right, so yeah, that is cool. I mean, it has a date on it, so that hopefully, hopefully they hit that.
They're not pricing it this time though, which is a little blank spot. Because I think is it D&D is 19 for the starter?
Yes.
I think so.
Yeah. I just assume they're going to raise the price, which is still fine with me. It's $5.
Right. How many characters were in the original Avengers versus X-Men starter.
8
I mean,
total in the set.
There's
yeah,
38?
38.
38.
Yeah.
Yeah, D&D has I think slightly more. I think it was from that video was 40 new dice. So yeah, that's got to be new characters as well, right? And actions.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
maybe
because
there'll be slightly more. And there's slightly less in the Uncanny X-Men. Maybe D&D has a little bit more squeezed into it.
okay. Um, yeah. Speaking of D&D, somebody sent me an email and asked if we were going to talk about the promo card, I guess, that you can obtain for pre-ordering D&D Dice Masters, which I was completely unaware of until I did a search. I think it might have been posted on Board Game Geek also, again from the same DeVere Americas website. Um, I should have let Adam pronounce this. Uh,
I'm looking at it right now, but I want you to do it.
right. Some guy and Boo. Minsk, I guess. Minsk.
Minsk.
And
Sure.
Yeah, I
uh,
believe that's right.
and I guess if you pre-order for every copy of the starter set they pre-order, they may order one unit or one copy of this promo card. Stores are encouraged to give the cards to customers who pre-order um, Battle for Faerun, Minsk, and Boo promo card. No ability is revealed. It's a 5-cost fist character, and it has the guy's symbol and stats, which are, pretty decent.
Yeah, and he has well, given that it's D&D, it might be alignment, which is maybe what the Halo is, and
Ah,
then an affiliation symbol. I do know that on DC, it looks like they might have multiple affiliations, or at least maybe something similar as far as alignment and an affiliation on some of their cards. They
yeah,
adds extras.
I did notice that actually that there was multiple symbols, particularly under like who was it?
Solomon Grundy.
Yeah, Solomon Grundy. Um, you could tell that there were 2 symbols there, and couldn't exactly make out what they were. Interesting, at least. I am surprised that they haven't done any promos before this. Like why they're doing a promo card for this set and they haven't done a pre-order promo card before. I mean, they must have known this game was going to be popular, so they didn't necessarily need to do a promo card like this. And
Maybe
maybe
their
because it's
orders are low right now for
yeah,
D&D.
yeah, maybe for D&D they're feeling the need to. I don't know.
Yeah, I know personally. I'll probably. I don't know. Actually, I guess it depends on when everything releases. If they space it out throughout the spring, or if they just like dump everything all at once. I would at least be interested in getting the starter set for D&D, but it's not one that I'm gonna feel the need. I'll play, and if we have drafts, get cards that way. But I don't feel like collecting. But as far as D&D, I'm far more interested in D&D Attack Wing,
Hmm.
and that will probably suck up my cash for that particular theme.
Oh, and then wait till somebody comes out with some sort of hybrid D&D Dice Master / Attack Wing game.
I know for the D&D, I have a starter kit and a gravity feed on pre-order,
Nice.
and I probably won't buy any more unless I really enjoy it. And that's hoping that my friends will also do this as well as the superheroes.
Yeah, I can foresee getting starters and gravity feeds for both. I'm curious if they're going to change up the game at all for D&D, since I would think it would kind of lend itself to that. I don't know exactly how, um, or if they could even include multiple players somehow, but maybe not necessarily if you could do some sort of role playing somehow. I don't know. It's probably just going to be one player versus one player, and that'll be that. But
Is this the first real D&D collectible game, other than like the standard, I guess, RPG tabletop where you can get the miniatures?
Well,
I just don't know if they've ever done the card game.
They do, since they have the license, they've released. They're the same sculpts as they're going to be using in Attackwing, but the boosters that they do are blind purchase. And granted, that's not a game in and of itself.
Mhm.
But since they have the the partnership with Wizards of the Coast for the new edition of D&D role playing game. You can get boosters, but the boosters are all blind purchase. So I guess that adds some kind of chase aspect to it.
Huh.
interesting. Well, yeah. I guess the other thing. Well, let's go ahead and jump to that presentation that we've already kind of touched on. There was an Alliance distribution open house, I guess, a couple weeks ago, maybe. Or maybe it was just a week ago. A guy from HC Realms took a video of it and then also put up some stills from it. And so it gave a little bit more information about Justice League and D&D. There were some images from, I believe both of them said spring 2015. So it sounds like D&D's got officially getting pushback from originally their November timeframe to spring. And you're right, it does say 40 all new dice, 138 all new cards, new mechanics they mentioned in the Dungeons and Dragons. And then the, I guess, bigger news, maybe, I think, was the Age of Ultron.
Yes.
Marvel Dice Masters Avengers Age of Ultron. Which, funny, Adam, didn't you see a tweet from Eric Lang that you questioned him about?
Yeah, he tweeted if everyone was excited about the new Avengers Dice Masters, and everyone's like, "What Avengers?" And I said to him, "Did you mean Justice League?" And he's like, "No, I meant Uncanny X-Men." So I don't know if he spoiled his own game, or maybe he just had a brain fart like he said he did.
Yeah, at first I would have taken him at that, and then as soon as we found out about Age of Ultron, it was like, oh, well, maybe he did kind of let it slip.
I think he let it slip, because, yeah, this one is even called Avengers Age of Ultron. So, yeah, and I think it might have been the day or two before they officially announced it. Let's check this when I asked him.
But again, that also says 40 all-new character dice based on Marvel Comics fan favorites in the crossover event of the same name. And it also says spring 2015. So the biggest question I have is, what are they doing? Why are they releasing three different IPs in spring 2015?
I'm hoping they just have a really wide view of spring. And I can see if D&D was initially November, December, like, them doing that in January, and then maybe doing DC in March, late March, and I don't know, the new Marvel, the new Marvel Dice Masters in early summer, which is when I imagine that the Avengers Age of Ultron movie will come out. I know there's a date already for it. I just don't know it.
It's May. It's early May, I think, next year.
So, it makes sense to get that synergy going, but it's like, man, spread them out a little bit.
Yeah, I don't understand why they would, and I don't think it will come to pass. So maybe they are going to open up pre-order windows for all of them at the same time, and then just based on whichever one is the hottest pre-order, like push that one to the front and the others get pushed back. I don't.
I'm gonna assume that they're stockpiling on dice and cards right now. That everything's already printed. They're just they learned their lesson, hopefully.
Yeah. There's no way that they're not going to have Age of Ultron in time for the movie, if not like a couple weeks before or right at the release or whatever. I just they'd really be kicking themselves if they missed that window.
They really would.
So my guess is that is a definite target for them. And then as far as DC and D&D go, I guess maybe they're just going to wait and see when it's ready or whatever. But they've kind of set Age of Ultron as like, we must have this on such and such date.
Mm-hmm.
But then they also did show 3 character cards, Captain Marvel, Ultron, and Phil Coulson.
Yeah, Phil Coulson.
Yeah. Although I don't know, that Captain Marvel art was.
It's not great.
Yeah.
There's much better Captain Marvel art out there, but I don't know.
Is that female Captain Marvel?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Right on.
Which
Yeah,
I
that is horrible art. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, that's been rumored, or I don't know, rumored or just fan base is pushing for it. But I mean, everybody wants to see a Captain Marvel movie, and I believe everybody wants to see Katie Sackhoff play Captain Marvel, who was Starbuck on the latest Battlestar Galactica version. So I can't say I'd be against it myself. We'll see if that comes to pass or if or just gets pushed back.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a prediction for the set as well.
Okay.
Female Thor for the reuse of the Thor dice as well.
Oh,
Nice. That could be interesting.
Oh, I want to go that way. What's the goofy animal Thor? I can't remember his name right now.
Beta Ray Bill?
Yeah,
That's his name?
Beta Ray Bill.
I think that's his name, right?
Yeah, no,
yeah.
you're right.
Yeah, okay.
I heard after the fact that he was like somebody saw him in the collector's room in Guardians of the Galaxy, which I can't say I looked at that closely, or I don't think I can say I would have recognized him either. But somebody they said that he was kind of in one of the pods or whatever you want to call them. So that would also be interesting, but I Beta Ray Bill. The female Thor would also be very interesting. Okay, so all of that information being released, then over the past couple days, WizKids themselves on their Facebook page have been releasing spoilers left and right, which I know I couldn't be happier about. I guess they know that all the cards are about to get spoiled anyway, so they might as well do a little bit of teasing themselves, which is really cool. The first one they released was Apocalypse. All 3 of his are 6 costs. He's a Bolt character, obviously a villain. One of his is an arch-villain card. It sounds like all the arch-villain cards, from what I can tell, start with when your opponent has no villain characters fielded. And then it has some sort of effect. But the effects are different. Because then they released later an Emma Frost, who's an arch-villain, who starts the same way but has a different kind of ability. Or slightly different variation. But I guess we'll wait and see what the other arch-villains look like. But I believe that's kind of the theory with those. The rare, I think, was pretty awesome, where on his burst side, which is level 2 and level 3, if he's knocked out, he returns to the field and spin him down a level, which is awesome.
And he's a beefy guy, too. He has some stat lines.
Yeah. Although 1/2/2, which I'm surprised at, because a lot of the villains have been 1/2/3 to field them.
Mhm.
and he's only 122. So a little bit of surprise, but um,
His
yeah,
his common's probably maybe the least useful. But again, it's hard to judge until we see all the other cards that he just gets his boosted defense on the turn he's fielded. I feel like well, I mean, you're probably it's gonna be tougher to pull the rare or uncommon, but I feel like I'd probably use one of those two instead of that one. But I
Mhm.
don't know. Maybe it'll be super useful in some other form.
yeah. Or if you can find a way to field him off turn.
Hmm.
It's interesting that his uncommon has a max of 2 dice as well.
Yes. Yeah. His arch-villain, prevent all damage to Apocalypse. If your opponent has no villain characters fielded, which is kind of cool. I guess the question with the common is on the turn he's fielded. So if he gets brought in by a swap, by a teleport or whatever, that's not the turn he was fielded because he wasn't actually fielded.
Yeah, I'd say that's
Yeah.
right. At least as we understand the
So the only way to
FAQ now.
yeah, the only way to get his +5D is to actually field him.
Hmm.
So that's something to note. After that, we saw Bishop was released.
Hmm. Your
He is.
anti-blast character.
Yeah. I'm surprised they don't have a villain version of him.
Was he a villain?
Oh yeah, in the when he was chasing Cable with Hope all throughout the
Mm.
future.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you'd technically call him a villain, but to me he was a villain. And he has
Getting
both
into
his
some.
arms.
Yeah, oh, that's right. I forgot he does have synthetic one. Yeah, you're getting some weird stuff when we start talking Bishop and Cable and in mines and time travel and all the crazy junk that those
Yeah.
guys do.
So his
Um,
first card is just can't be damaged by bolt characters. That's
Hmm.
not bad. And he's an X-Man. And the other two aren't.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It kind of seems like we're gonna start seeing more. The different energy types kind of have their own themes, but now it seems like they're getting maybe a little bit more important. Obviously, if you have some bishops out there and you start doing fielding Hawkeye longbow, well, then he's not going to be doing anything to this guy.
Yeah, he's got good defensive stats, and I actually like his uncommon because it's the cheapest, and also he gets +2 attack when engaged with a bolt character. Now, obviously, your opponent needs to have a bolt character to engage him.
But they're almost always going to. Is bolt guys tend to be cheap and have some nice little abilities.
Yeah, I mean, he'd be good for squaring off against Johnny Storm, although Johnny Storm really wants to just sit in the field. But if he's forced to attack, then you use Bishop on him. That would be a nice little way to get him out.
For example, if you were to field Cable and use his global to deal a damage to a character and force them to attack. Oh, I'm sorry, they must have block.
That's block. Hey, but that would work still.
Yes, it would.
Force the character. Oh, that's right. Forced block. Yeah, that's awesome.
And yeah, no, that's really cool. Apparently, they got Arnold Schwarzenegger to pose for the card art.
That's not Dolph Lundgren.
All right, man. Either way, any of those '80s action stars. I think I like all of his cards. They're really cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Cable's my Colossus. Meaning like he's my
Okay.
favorite character. So even if I never use any of these 3 cards, which I probably will, I want all 3 of these.
Nice.
Yeah, they all have really neat abilities. His global's a little pricey, but it's really cool because it lets you. And they have all the target character must attack, but now you have certain characters that have to block, which lets you trigger certain things. say like Storm, who you can choose basically who they're going to engage with and all that fun stuff.
Whew, yeah, that is neat. I like all his cards, honestly. I mean, his stats aren't great, but they're not horrible either. 3 damage minimum,
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
and then the with the global ability to deal more damage, and then his when he's blocked ability, um, he'll do damage.
Oh, they're fantastic, aren't they? And the his rare was kind of raising some questions, and I guess it's legitimate because it says if you pay the extra the 2 bolts, you can have him damage your opponent instead of his blockers as though he were not blocked. I was saying, well, does that count the same as the Cyclops, where you can choose to damage your opponent, but then he goes to the used pile? It's like, I'm falling on the side of no, he's still blocked, so he goes back to the field, but you have to pay that extra energy to actually have him trigger his ability. But that's still pretty cool because you're doing at least 3 damage for 2 bolts, and then he's back in the field where he can sit there and block and do all that, be ready for the next turn.
Now,
Yeah,
you
that's
think
really nice.
if that one is sitting out there, you're going to bother blocking him then? Well, if he's sitting out there and your opponent has 2 bolts.
Yeah.
But of course, if I guess the
If,
only thing is that if he's the only one you're attacking with, and you have
yes.
the two, uh, no, I was gonna say you could use 2 bolts to make somebody block him, but then you won't have the 2 bolts to.
Well, I guess it depends on if you roll a big energy turn.
Hmm.
Yeah, I guess. And wasn't there a? Oh crap! Wasn't there a Iceman that converts a bunch of things to bolts?
Yes, you are
Yeah.
correct. I completely forgot about that. He is it your sidekicks? He can change them all. You pay a bolt to change all your sidekicks to bolts.
Wow. Super mega combo. Use it. TM Kevin from Bachelors of Dice. That could be neat. That could be very cool. Um, yeah, I like that. I like him. I like him a lot.
Same.
Some of the
Now,
coolest art I've seen.
I can't wait
yeah.
to Loki him against you, Adam.
Speaking of art, after looking at the cable card and you jump to
Ah,
Emma, oh my god. Like,
yeah,
could
it's
you
not the
pick
best.
a worse picture?
There's so many like she's a big character, especially currently in their current run. But it's well done, but it's just a style that I'm not a particular fan of.
Yeah, especially from like the not hyper realistic version of Cable, but it looks more like a nice painting that Professional did. And this
Hmm.
looks good too, but it's nothing compared to the Cable card.
Yeah.
And I may be dumb, but I thought like, well, I mean, not that I didn't think Cable used a gun, but I thought Bishop did use some sort of gun weapon. Is he really just he converts the energy himself and shoots it out of his hands?
Yeah, he carries a gun, but yeah, he usually just absorbs the energy, then will blast out of his hand.
Oh,
Mhm.
okay.
For the most part, anyways. But yeah, he carries a gun so he can shoot people.
Okay. No, I was thinking of. I guess I was thinking of the Days of Future Past movie. I think his gun was basically used as like a funnel, or
Focus.
yeah, to
Yeah.
the energy. So then, yeah, after Cable came out, then we had a little something for the fellas, Emma Frost, who again had an arch villain. So yeah, she's got 2 villain associations and X-Men,
Yeah,
which makes sense.
and she focuses, which makes sense for her diamond form. She focuses basically on melee characters or fist characters, either not being able to harm them or not being able to harm her or redirecting damage. Uh, which I know a lot of people, and I think it's just because the current meta is that a lot of people don't take fist characters because they cost a lot. But and it makes sense, and the Fist characters hit the hardest, and she's got some really good defensive stats. So really, the Fist characters are going to be the only ones that can knock her out anyway.
Yeah.
Well, except for Black Widow.
True. Yes.
I mean, she'll be good at
Yeah, Black
defending
Widow.
against
Oh,
Black
poor Black Widow. Poor natural.
Widow. Who's going to use natural now?
No one.
Wait, who used natural to begin with?
No one.
Oh.
But yeah, I mean, I guess it requires, well, okay, prevent all damage, so she's not going to get damaged.
Yeah.
I imagine anybody that's using Serena is probably just attacking with her, making you spin down or take 2 damage if you can't spin down, and then
Mhm.
probably just pulling her back anyway. They're not really trying to, unless they know she's going to be unblocked. They're probably just tapping, hitting that button as many times as they can. So I don't think that somebody attacking with Serena would let her damage or let her try to damage Emma Frost. Although really, you're trading, the 2 damage you did to your opponent for 1 damage to yourself. You're still winning.
Yeah, and the whole thing with the cards that kind of require your opponent to carry certain cards. So there's like the Fist characters hit hard, and I do recall that there is an Angel that forces you to block all other Fist characters aside from Angel, if he's attacking. So if you have Emma Frost out there, who seems to be a pretty good defender, especially against Fist characters, you can throw everybody on her with him, and then have him go through and do his damage and all that stuff. So I guess there's combos out there.
Yeah, no, that's true. And God, there's so many other cards we haven't even seen yet.
Oh, I know it.
I can't wait.
But coming up here next is my absolute favorite card that I have seen from this entire set. Is Magic, and her rare is just so fun. Could completely screw you over, but could also win you the game on 1 turn. That just seems like such a fun card to use.
That would make for an epic story.
Man, and for people who haven't seen it yet, is after she damages an opponent, because she does not have great damage stats. After she damages an opponent, you re-roll her die until you roll a mask face, and then you deal damage to your opponent for each character face you rolled before rolling a mask face. So you have a 50% chance of continuing to do damage each time you re-roll her die. This is probably not going to be great, but you could potentially just keep going, and that just seems super fun. I don't think it's going to be a character that anybody that is playing serious tournament play would take, because that's such an unknown, but man, that's just super fun.
Yeah, I completely agree. That'd be wild.
And also if she gets knocked out, her common, if she gets knocked out, she has a 50-50 chance of just returning to the field, which is cool too. And that's a 4 cost, so that's a pretty good card as well.
That's a good infinite blocker.
She's got good defensive stats too. That's what I was gonna say.
And she's a 0/0/1 for fielding too. Like, wow, why not?
Sure.
Yeah, she is. She's cheap to field.
And she's pretty thematic. I mean, a lot of her stuff has to do with. I mean, her thing is she's a teleporter, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of her abilities are kind of teleporter stuff. But as far as the variability, I believe in the Marvel universe, there magic is never a sure thing, so they're always kind of. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and it's all goofy. So that makes sense as far as sometimes stuff goes wrong. And when I say magic, I mean magic ability, not magic
Right.
character.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that is pretty cool. And okay, so then my as I love Colossus. Colossus, he's pretty much my favorite character, but my favorite villain was then spoiled today, and that was this morning, Mr. Sinister. So I was super pumped to see these cards come out. Um, he's got I want to say like Wolverine-like stats. Better, or maybe not as good as Wolverine, but he's strong attack, weak on defense.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't really want to necessarily be attacking either. From reading his abilities, he really wants to stay in the field. He is while his common is while active, his uncommon is while active, and then his rare is if he and one of your sidekicks are knocked out on the same turn, he can return to the field. Um,
Which is just neat. That's
Yeah.
fun.
And then two of his cards come with a global that, again, bolts. Pay 2 bolts. Each player chooses one of his characters and take 3 damage.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be if let's say your sidekick gets knocked out by someone, you can knock Mr. Sinister out. Then he gets returned to the field. Never mind. Or if Mr. Sinister is being knocked out, then you could pay 2 sidekicks to knock out or 2 bolts to knock
Yeah.
out a sidekick return. That's what I meant to say. I recovered.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to happen during the attack step, I guess. That he could get
Yeah.
knocked out, and then
Mhm.
you could get one of your other sidekicks knocked out.
Yeah. And his uncommon's really great for if you're taking an all villain deck. That whenever any villain, not even just yours, is
Yeah.
knocked out, then you deal 1 damage to your opponent. And that's really fun.
Yeah, that's again the reason I think that Magneto is going to be an auto include from now on.
Yeah.
Because finally you have this card that's like, here's your key to a villain team, and oh, sorry, there's already a card that's gonna screw you over all the time. What was I about to look at? There was one card I wanted to see if it was gonna. Oh, the Green Goblin, Norman Osborn, global ability. I was wondering if that says knockout or.
It does.
Yep, knock out one of your sidekick characters to deal 2 damage to a target character. So, and again, that's bolts. My God, everything's bolts. Seriously, how many cards have we seen with a bolt global ability?
I think all
There's
of
been a
them.
lot of them.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So, yes, Mr. Sinister gets knocked out, then you activate, Norman Osborn, and bam, Mr. Sinister's back. Nice. I like it. So yeah, I can't wait to get my hands on some of these cards and create the all-villain team that will get nerfed by
Something.
Magneto's re-rolling.
Yeah.
I don't know. Every time I try to reroll a character, they come back level 3, so it doesn't work for me.
Yeah. Let's see. Then after that, later this morning, we had Marvel Girl.
Yeah. Likes to roll characters down, roll characters out potentially.
All X-Men affiliation. Also a superhero.
And they still haven't gone into detail about the heroic ability yet.
No, I keep looking. I mean, they updated the FAQ, but they haven't put up the Uncanny X-Men rule set as their main rule set yet. And like I said, I have to imagine that'll be in there. Maybe it won't, but I haven't been able to see that yet.
The 2 that we have seen basically say they may pair up with a different heroic character.
Mm-hmm.
So that I mean, there's that stipulation that seems to be common amongst them.
And her heroic ability actually is pretty powerful. I mean, all you're doing, you're spinning a character down to gain one life, which it can only be done the turn she's fielded, but that's still a pretty good. That one life, if you get a few of her dice out there cycling through your bag, that's pretty good.
Yeah, and she's got good stats too.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I mean, she's 1, 2, 3, so she's not cheap. But yeah, not bad stats.
Mm-hmm.
I do think it's. I did point out. I think on Board Game Geek, or maybe no, I guess it was on Facebook. That I mean, she's telekinetic and telepath. She's a blast character, not a wits character. Which I just thought was a little odd.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, we had Namor. Good old Namor.
With the goatee.
Yes. I think I like all his cards.
Yeah, he's a shield. Let me see. X-Men X-Men common, Avengers uncommon, non-affiliated, rare. So that's cool.
So if you had two of the commons fielded, and they're both Neymar, and you attacked with both, you get 10 damage free. Or would you have to have the characters still fielded after you block?
Oh man.
I would assume that at the attack. So if two characters fielded, he can't be blocked.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
wait.
Yeah.
Are you saying that if you had 3 Namors?
Let's say you only had two of them, and you attacked with both of them. Because you had two fielded, neither one would be able to be blocked, correct?
I think you'd need 3 of them fielded. There's 2 others.
2 other characters.
Oh, okay, so 3. Okay.
But let's say you had 3 Namors. Could they all attack on? No, that doesn't seem right. But it says other, not different. They're gonna have to clarify that wording, I think.
Can you imagine if you had all 4 out there? That's game.
Yeah.
Granted, you'd have to
Probably not.
you'd have to cycle your dice bag a couple times to be able to do that, but still.
Oh yeah.
It's a neat card. I really like his uncommon where if he blocks, he can cancel one active action effect, because that can effectively nullify Throne Car or Inner Rage, any of those other crazy ones. Yeah. Well, no, that's Genkeeper's not an action, is it? It's just
I guess
an
it's,
ability.
Yeah. You need something to cancel abilities.
Yeah. Could you cancel distraction? Like your opponent plays distraction on you, but then when you go to block with Namor, could you cancel and then assign more blockers?
2 of your opponents. That's right. What? 2 of your opponents can't block.
Right. But you pick them. Like
right.
Your opponent plays it against you. You get to pick which guys won't be able to block. But then, if you still have Namor as an available blocker, essentially his card says when Namor blocks, which we know to mean when he assigns to block.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That would fit right in. You assign him first, and then say, nah, cancel it.
Interesting. And then his rare is essentially like a rally, right?
Yes.
But it comes with the requirement that he's the only character in your field at the end of any turn. Oh, any turn. That's kind of neat. So it could happen off turn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's pretty good too.
Yeah, so if you block with everyone, they get KO'd except for Neymar. You could recruit too. That's cool.
Man, that's I can't wait for more tomorrow. Should probably record an addendum to this podcast tomorrow after more come out. But I mean that's plenty to go on too. And they did it in alphabetical order. Nope,
They
not
did.
quite.
Oh,
But Marvel Girl was the only one that's kind of out of turn.
Yeah, she should have been before Sinister.
But still, very cool. I look forward to playing with all of them.
Same here.
Let's see. What else do we have? We had. Oh, well, then the last. You figured that was enough to go on from WizKids. Like, wow, thanks, guys. And then they close out the day by releasing the updated FAQ, which just, blew me away that it was out, and then blew me away that it was only like 5 questions answered. Or 5 more questions answered, I guess. Or maybe not even 5. Oh no, 5. I think it was 5.
1, 2, 3, 4.
It was originally 14, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
I think 6. No, you're right. 5.
Yeah, 5.
So yeah, the first one was just that if your opponent or if each of you have a character that says once per turn, you can each use it. So you could use it twice. The second one was the one we already talked about, where rally does not count as fielding, or something like teleport also does not count as fielding.
Mm-hmm.
The third one was a big debate about Angel. If he was blocked but not knocked out, he deals 2 damage to your opposing player. But then people were saying if they use distraction, then that would work. That you would pull him back to the field, and his effect would trigger. Other people were saying no, that's impossible because he was never blocked, because he never attacked officially, and they have ruled that it is correct that if somebody assigns a blocker to him, and then you pull him back on distraction, that he still deals the 2 damage. So, Avenging Angel, the moral of the story there is just let him through.
Yeah.
Unless he's level, what, 3? Well, just
Well,
just
yeah.
let him through.
Level 2 or 3, he's going to do 3 damage to you, but otherwise he's going to do 2 damage to you if he's blocked and distracted. And then teleport, they basically said the same thing. Does not count as fielding. And then the last one was about the Hulk. Can anything happen to a character after it deals damage but before it goes to the used pile? Could Hulk KO characters with damage who would normally be sent to the used pile? And the short answer was no.
Yeah, and implied in here, because I know a lot of guys were kind of arguing about, well, you deal damage to characters first and then to players, which is not how I ever felt it was intended, but they very clearly say, oh, okay, they don't answer that specifically, but they do say that characters with lethal damage are KO'd and move to the prep area at the same time as characters who were unblocked go to the used pile, and they only go to the used pile when they deal their damage. So, yes, players receive damage at the same time as characters, and that also answers, is it Jay Giant? Or no, I'm sorry, the Hulk that gets buffed when he takes damage. They very clearly say that damage resolves before effects are applied. So it's anger issues. Whenever either you or the Hulk takes damage, he gets +2 attack, +2 defense. If he takes enough damage to KO him outright, he's KO'd.
So what's the point of that card?
I don't know. You could zap him with there's an Iron Man that redirects damage. There's,
Right. Yeah, I mean, basically, the only way to trigger that ability is to like pre-damage him, really.
Yeah, pretty much.
Gotcha.
Or if you're blocking someone who won't knock him out, right?
Yeah. Although I don't think he would. I can't imagine a way that he would deal that extra damage afterwards.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like I guess there's ways to zap him and poke him, which is pretty thematic. I think. I can imagine Iron Man out there just like pinging him with little stuff or Human Torch and getting him angry.
So if you use thrown car on Hulk, anger issues, and then somebody blocked him stupidly with a sidekick, um, it would only be he wouldn't get that +2 attack before the thrown car damage went through, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't think so.
Okay.
Because he would do this, he
Mhm.
would do his damage, and then he'd get buffed up.
Right.
But he's
Okay.
already done his damage to the character.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's what that answer seems to imply to me. But again, that's not completely spelled out, but that seems to be what it's doing. Also, just kind of randomly, Hulk. It seems like you can once Uncanny comes out, you can field Hulk and Red Hulk at the same time, even though they use the same die,
Hmm.
because their character names are different.
Right. Right.
And the rules have been same character name can't be fielded, but they're not the same characters. So
And She-Hulk, you're gonna have a Planet Hulk team.
yeah.
I'm sure we'll get Red She-Hulk in the Age of Ultron set.
Oh yeah.
Is there a Red She-Hulk? I guess there
Yeah,
is.
it's
There's
is it Betty Brant who's Red She-Hulk.
yeah, or Betty Ross.
Okay, who's Betty Brant?
I
Wait, isn't
don't
Red
know.
Hulk?
Has no one.
Isn't Red Hulk Betty Ross's dad?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then
currently. Yeah.
yeah, then she's Red She-Hulk.
Huh. Keep it in the family.
Exactly.
I keep waiting for a Thunderbolts affiliation on some of the. They have all the dice for it, but I haven't seen it pop up yet. Love the Thunderbolts. The current Thunderbolts.
Okay. Cool. And so yeah, that was pretty exciting of them to put that out. Obviously, would have been better had it been more comprehensive instead of like 4 or 5 questions being answered. But still,
I just like to see it visually
can
be
do.
polished.
yeah, that's the other thing. They didn't touch that up at all.
No.
Yeah.
Which
And
they've had it for 3 months, and they just decided to add a little bit to it and not.
They must have interns.
It serves its purpose, but yeah, it's like I don't need it to be like Fantasy Flight, who like chews up all my ink every time I try to print out an FAQ. But
Adam, this is how we're going to get our street cred with WizKids. We need you to
Do you want me to
use
do it?
your use your graphic skills and dress it up, send it to them, and say, Here you go," and they'll
Here,
say,
this.
"Wow, you guys are great. Here's all the gravity feeds that you could possibly." uh, oh, so yeah, one other thing I forgot. Well, actually, no, I think there's 2 other things that I forgot to mention. Um, One was something you found, the custom storage, Matthew, the custom storage solution.
yeah, I heard it mentioned. You guys were talking about it after Gen Con. This guy's supposed to be having a Kickstarter starting up soonish, but it's he's doing like inserts for games and uh, also storage solutions, and some of them are the storage solutions that kind of fold out into helping organize the games as they're set up, and they look beautiful. I mean, they're stained wood and cut and just look fantastic. Yeah, you're paying for that craftsmanship, but it looks fantastic. And Dice Masters is one of the games that he has designed that you can keep an eye out for the Kickstarter. But it's called Dataless Productions Inc. And is it Roman Greek god Daedalus?
I don't think he was a god. I think he was an inventor.
Or inventor, excuse me. But yeah, the website is datalessproductionsinc.com.
Yeah, we'll put a
Uh,
link up to it on our
yeah,
in our show notes and the website.
and he said that if you contact them, there's no, you can't just sign up for. They don't have a link as of yet to sign up for a newsletter. But he did say it's like, yeah, just fill out the contact form and say you want to be added to the mail list, and they'll do all that. And he has a bunch, uh, up there, and you can vote on one of the next ones that you want them to produce. So they have both Eldritch Horror and X-Wing miniatures are on there. I voted for both of those. I would love some. As I said, they're just gorgeous, gorgeous, well done stuff.
Yeah, I looked at the pictures. You're right. They do look really nice. Um, and you can easily throw some like stickers on there if you really want it to be. Oh wait.
And if
Oh
you
okay. I'm sorry. I didn't realize he like burned it in. AVX
Mhm.
Uncanny. Nice.
And there's a nice touch that I didn't notice at first, but I keep all my cards in a binder so I can flip through them, but he has the what do you call them, a trough for cards. And if you look on the edges, there's two of them, and one of them is kind of cut out in the shape of an A. The other one's cut out in the shape of an X, which I thought was a cool little touch.
Yeah, those are
Okay.
really nice.
Very
Little
cool.
tabs.
Nice. Yeah. Let us know when the Kickstarter gets started, or we'll post it on Facebook or something. Because yeah, that does look pretty neat.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and let's see. The last thing that came, or that you sent us, Matthew, was there was an image of the 4 super rares, right? But
Yeah.
the text was blocked and blurred out.
Yeah, it was a little while ago. The top two people at the Open are supposed to get a what do they call it? Super rare set. So the 4 super rares from Uncanny, the top two people get those. Um, and one of them we've seen, which is Emma Frost. The other ones were, of course, Spider-Man, Iron Man, and Scarlet Witch. But you can't really see anything. They're not cheap. No 2 cost super rares this time around, or 3 cost. Um, Iron Man has some kind of global. Spider-Man has a heroic ability, and past that, can't really tell anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll be curious to see what those abilities end up being. But yeah, certainly not cheap. I guess that was the other thing we kind of failed to mention in all the spoilers that they released. Well, I think you touched on it before. Not a lot of cheap characters. Geez, of all the ones they released on Facebook, they're all 4s and 5s and 6s.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah.
which I was surprised that I guess none of them. I don't know if they're just picking these characters on purpose though, because they're like in that kind of group, or if that's really what we can expect from this set is just a lot of 4s, 5s, and 6s.
Yeah, I don't know. There's we saw those handfuls of 2s and 3s and the crit to hit pictures, but yeah, there doesn't seem to be a whole lot. Which I'm happy about. There's cheap characters out there, and I like the mid game. I think the mid game's really fun, but it kind of gets glossed over because everyone likes to play a lot of rush decks currently.
Right.
So yeah, it's like anything. If you can give me these other guys, then yeah, I think that'd be. It's like go for it. I would like a little bit of a longer game.
Agreed. Yeah. I think Adam and I would like to actually play a 3-hour game.
Oh my God, can it be possible?
Okay, well maybe this doesn't apply to you.
We're the masters of the long games. There's lots of 3-cost characters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there are. They just all the Facebook ones they've been posting have not been on the cheaper side, but yeah, you're right. There probably will be, and some of the ones they've already spoiled, and what you could see from like the fans and stuff.
Yeah.
were definitely cheaper than what they've been spoiling.
So
So
yeah,
that's
so yeah, I'll just have to be in the top two and get that set of super rares, and I can get real good pictures of it.
excellent. Hey, I like your odds. We can go ahead and then talk about what's your strategy going into this, or do you not want to? Well, I mean, since this isn't going to post until afterwards, you're not going to really spoil anything to anybody you're going to be facing off against.
Oh yeah, yeah, no, that's fine. There's
Do you
been
have one constructed team? I guess there's only one main event, right? And everything else is Rainbow Draft.
yes, yes, and I would imagine that I'll stick with the same handful of characters for Rainbow Draft 2. Is what I believe you bring 4 characters, and you can choose your basic actions afterwards. Um, and just to make things simpler, I'm sure I'll get a handful of characters for that and just stick with them. But yeah, no, for the main constructed event, I feel like I'm going to see, at least based on what I played against, based on what I see people talking about online, a lot of burn decks. I think there's going to be a lot of Johnny Storm and Gavi and probably Rally. And you're not going to get the fielding effect, but if you're running Gavi, Rally's still really good.
Yep.
So, and I'm sure Serena whenever she's there, but initially I was going to bring Serena once I pulled her, and then I was like I went back to down to Killer Instinct for her, but now I for my thing is like so I'm trying to play almost an anti-burn deck. So I have 2 cards in here that I'm bringing for life gain. And a couple low-cost characters, which are Black Widow and Beast, of course, for disruption because to try and get them out quick. And for me, it's not hinging on those 2 characters. They are purely there for early game and to disrupt, so that I can bring out my heavy hitters.
Okay.
But my main guy that I'm hinging on is Doctor Doom, Reed Richards' rival. Which, if anybody is trying to play anti-Gavi, that's who they're probably going to be playing. But he gives that -1 attack and defense to any non-villain character. He's 5 costs, so I've actually been able to get him. I've only played with this a couple times over Vassal, and surprisingly, like I won both games, and against a very cheap rush deck. I mean, not cheap as in cheap tactics, inexpensive
Right.
characters rush deck, and I was really surprised. The first game I won pretty well, and the second game I was rolling poorly, and it took me longer to get my characters out, and it still managed that managed to uh, stall the game long enough for me to get my guys out there and win. So I've tweaked it since then, and I haven't tested the tweaks, but hopefully I'm not screwing up too bad. But yeah, I'm using the Black Widow, Killer Instinct, and Beast Creature as my cheap guys to kind of get out there early. Creature, whenever he blocks, he spins someone down. If they're level 1, he knocks them out, and if you have a burst symbol, then he knocks them out. No, I'm sorry, he knocks them out, and you gain 2 life on the burst symbol. And then with all these, because it's actually as a Black Widow, Killer Instinct, whenever she is fielded, you can spin a target character down to level 1.
Yep.
As opposed to Serena, where it gives the option to your opponent to decide who they're going to spin down. On top of that, it's only 1 level. So those 2, I feel, kind of work well hand in hand. But also, one of the things I ran into, because I'm also running Venom, Angelo Fortunato,
Okay.
and he has a global on there where you can pay a fist to spin down a fist character. Well, Black Widow's a fist character, so the second game my opponent he was like, oh, I'm going to start doing this. So he would spin, once I had Dr. Doom out, he would spin Black Widow down, and I was still running a Serena at that time. He would spin a Black Widow down, and unless she's level 3, then she automatically gets knocked out.
Yeah.
It's like, so I was like, I don't particularly care, as once I have Dr. Doom out, I kind of have a handful of dice, but it's like, well, she's not doing anything other than going back to my prep area. But if I play Killer Instinct, I still get the benefit of that when fielded ability. And then she can go right back to my prep area for all I care. She's cheap to do that, and I can pop her out there, spin someone down, and then I'm gone. Um, so I feel like that kind of works better. Taking Brimstone Biker with Ghost Rider, who lets you pull the character from your used pile out whenever he's fielded.
Okay.
Um, which I like to do. I've been using it for when it works out timing wise for the more expensive characters, so I don't have to cycle them through my dice bag. I can throw him out there and then pull whoever in. And like I said, Venom. And the cool thing about Venom is he gives -2 attack, -2 defense to non-fist characters, your opponent's non-fist characters. So stacked with Doctor Doom, unless they're a fist character, they're sitting at -3 attack, -3 defense. If I can get him out, and he's more expensive, but both times, as soon as he's been out, then it was over the next turn.
Yeah.
In one of them, it was enough to completely clear the field, and I was like, all right, well, I'm just attacking with everybody, and that did. And the second time, it didn't completely clear the field. I think he was at the very end, and I either didn't have Doctor Doom or they had some stronger characters out there that it couldn't outright knock out, but I was able to swing around. Like it made it so that they couldn't do any damage. But as I said, it takes some time to get up to that, so I don't know if it's really going to work. But also taking Iron Man Philanthropist because he allows you to redirect damage. No, I'm sorry. He allows whenever he takes damage, you gain life, and if he's on his burst, if he takes damage, you gain 2 life. So once I kind of cycle through the beasts, if I can buy a couple of him, I would start using him for blockers and potentially attackers because he hits pretty good, and you don't necessarily want to let him through, but if you block him, then I'm gonna gain some life. And the main thing is Vibranium Shield, who lets me, if I keep some shields back, prevent damage to myself, which is kind of my main. Really, I'm just pulling that one for the global. That's my main anti-burn thing, which I'll have to save back energy to use it. But if it's looking bad, I can certainly sit on some energy. And my main thing is a Doctor Octopus fully armed, who I'm hoping to use with my. He's the one that has the trample effect. So any damage he deals in excess to blocking characters goes to your opponent. So that's why I'm hoping that he works well with Venom and Doctor Doom, and that they lower the defense so much that he can just run right over him and do all his damage to the opponent. So
Yeah, he kind of needs to be level 3. I mean,
he doesn't do a whole lot on his
bad,
level 2.
but level 1 and 2 being only 4 attack isn't great.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, that's the downside of that. But that's why I also bring Focus Power, which works with the spin down decks, so I can spin him up also. And I do like buying Focus Power pretty early. I find it a pretty useful die, especially if you're running something like Beast Creature, who you can just spin all their characters down and spin yours up, or anybody with a burst for that matter, because it works well with Iron Man as well, and spin him to his burst side. So we'll see how it works. Maybe everybody's gonna think that everyone else is gonna bring burn decks, and they all bring anti-burn decks. I don't know.
What was your other action?
I was just throwing them in gearing up. I couldn't find another one that really seemed to fit very well with what I was doing. At one point, I had Inner Rage, but like it didn't seem to work too well, and I found myself not buying it at all. And I know a lot of guys don't buy their actions at all, but
Right.
I might swap in for Teamwork since I have enough villains that would probably help boost Doctor Doom, and I don't really intend to buy gearing up. If I have four energy, it's an expensive team, so if I have 4 energy, I'm probably going somewhere else.
Right.
But Teamwork, I might swap in there instead of gearing up because my strategy kind of hinges on having a lot of villains out there. So
yeah, you don't have. I don't hear a means to get like that extra die, either through like Beasts 666 or Silver Surfers Global, or even Norman Osborn Green Goblin.
No, and well, I don't have Norman Osborn. Otherwise, I'd probably
Yeah.
do it.
Well, that's good.
Ghost Rider is kind of my go-to
Okay.
for that.
Okay.
Because whenever he's only 4 cost, and I mean he's not cheap to field is the downside for him, but he can pull those guys in, and if I get Doctor Doom out there, then he's pulling everybody, including Black Widow and Beast. He's reducing all their defense, so they're sitting at really parallels. As I said, Black Widow's automatically KO'd if she's in her level 1 or 2 side, uh, and then Beast is you only needs to take a couple hits. So I'm hoping there's that. I can always use the global on Venom to spin Black Widow down to knock her out if I have Doctor Doom out. But and I typically don't keep any of the. I might actually keep some extra uh, sidekicks out once I kind of get some other ones going, so that I can cycle into the more expensive stuff. And I don't have anything that costs over 6, but I do have a bunch of 6 cost guys.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I've found that the 5 cost is actually not that difficult to get out. If you can cycle through and pull a couple characters, you can usually pull or roll a 2 energy side
No,
somewhere.
that's true.
But yeah, as I haven't got a chance to play it too much. I was hoping that tonight I would be able to go out to the game store and play a few games against guys here, but I had to be put on child duty and pick the kids up today. So I wasn't able to do that, but that's okay. As I said, I played a variation on this a couple times on Vassal, and it seemed to work out all right. And I said against the deck that I thought would just murder it because of the cheap cost characters and their ability to get out quick. But and hey, maybe all the dice rolls go my way.
There's always that possibility. Adam, did you have any comments on his deck?
I think it's a great deck to test out. It's really good.
Yeah, my only other concern, I guess, would be not being able to force his characters, their opponent's characters, to attack. But I know a lot of people bring those regardless.
That's what I'm kind of counting on for that.
Okay.
Is almost everyone I've talked to is like, well, yeah, I'm bringing Phoenix or Mr. Fantastic just for that. I'm like, all right, well, I'll kind of bank on that for that. May backfire, but who knows?
Yeah, I think you should be all right. I think you're probably right playing the odds, but I would just, if you didn't necessarily need one of those characters, I would consider it anyway. It sounds like you have options, like based on how the game is going, which of the 6 cost guys you really want to go for, because you're not going to obviously be able to go for all of them probably.
Right, yeah, and that's kind of thing, and there's a certain like for example, if they're going, if they're banking hard on Johnny Storm instead of Gabi, then I don't want Doctor Doom out there because then they can field their sidekicks, do their damage, and pop them back into their prep area for the next turn. And that's the other thing. If I have Doctor Doom out there, all my sidekicks go back into my prep area and give me extra energy the next turn.
Right.
So obviously I skip him and tend to go more towards Iron Man, and characters like that. And then if it looks like I can grab Venom, then that's great, and I can have him out there and kind of pulling everyone's defense down, or I can go Doctor Octopus and do that. And Ghost Rider is not he's expensive to get out there, but I'm kind of I'll want him out as soon as possible. So for his fielded ability, so I might just start throwing him out there, see if they want to let him through, or if he can just kind of wreak havoc on some of that stuff. But you never know. I mean, if they're taking a lot of storms, maybe that just completely messes everything up. But yeah, I'm trying to give myself a few options for the higher cost characters and maybe a couple branches in there. Remains to be seen if it will work at all, but yeah, I'm hopeful that I'll at least win a couple games.
There you go. Yeah, no,
I'm
I
excited to hear a report of how it does go.
yeah,
Yeah.
I I think you have a good team, and I'd be
Hmm.
curious to see if you end up facing off against a lot of the same teams, or if there's a lot of different teams, or what happens. But one way or the other, I wish you the best of luck because it's
Wow,
exciting.
thank you very much. Yeah, it'll be fun to at least play and then find out. It's like, nope, yeah, this is completely broken. Everyone's taking all these
Yeah.
guys.
Oops.
I mean, if I were playing to the complete meta, I would be bringing Gavi and Johnny Storm and Rally and probably Powerbolt. No, not Powerbolt. Force Beam and all that stuff. That where I know
Right,
I could
right.
just kind of do that. I was like, but I don't want to do that. I want to see if I can beat that, and because that's what I assume are the kind of teams I'll be going up against. So.
Yeah, I'm almost glad that I don't have Serena or Gabi, just so I'm not super tempted to play with them. But I think I would fall into the same camp as you, where um, I would be tempted just to not play with them.
Yeah, as I said, I mean, Serena was part of the thing. I mean, as far as I think she worked great anti-Gabi because you're assuming that they're going to keep a lot of sidekick characters out there, and you can't roll them down, so she's always going to be doing her damage. But uh, I really wanted to keep Venom, and I was like, I can't keep Venom out there and
Right.
Doctor Doom. She's just not doing a whole lot because she's just gonna get knocked out. So I was like, I think Killer Instinct actually works better in this situation for what I'm trying to do, especially combined with Beast. As I said, I'm assuming I'm gonna be taking some burn damage, and Beast can get you that life back. So
Yeah.
hopefully, I'm hoping that works out.
Cool. All right. Well, yeah. I look forward to hearing all about it, and keep us posted on Facebook and otherwise how things are going.
Yes,
Take lots of
absolutely.
pictures.
It starts
Oh,
out
I will.
with Swiss style for a couple rounds at least.
Yeah, yeah. And the thing is, uh, it changes depending on because they're not going to have as many rounds if not as many people show up.
Right, right.
So yeah, I haven't looked too much. I think the Swiss is kind of the main thing that they're going with.
But it starts out with Swiss, and then they'll cut the field probably in half or something, or down to
Hmm.
a size such that they could then do like seeds, right? Do like a
Yeah,
brackets from there.
yeah. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Da, 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 da.
If I remember
Uh,
correctly, I think that's how.
yeah, they cut the field down depending on how many people
Right,
show
right.
up. So if it's like I think their max is 64, so 64 to 32, and past that it's like down to 24 or something like that. And then yeah, then they start doing the pairings like you were talking about. So yeah, it'll go. So yeah, first round standard Swiss style are determined randomly, and subsequent rounds pair to other players of similar record. uh, yeah, I haven't. I just was like whatever. The judges will tell me what I'm playing, so
Right, right.
I haven't worried about it too much. I just want to win at least a couple things because that gets you a few extra boosters to take home. So
Okay,
that's really.
cool.
So if I can, even if you make the first cut, I think that you get like a promo card and some extra stuff. And I was like, so hopefully I can do something.
Make us proud.
I will definitely try to. And yeah, I said I will be documenting as much as I can. I'll try to keep the Facebook page updated.
Okay.
Awesome.
Cool. Well, I think we've eclipsed the 2 hour mark, or we might have passed it a while ago. I'm not sure. So I think we can go ahead and kind of wrap up this episode, and yeah, hopefully come back quickly, maybe within the next week or two, um, for a recap on how everything went. Um,
Yep.
and I'm sure we'll even have. Well, by then I guess we'll have, or you'll have, or hopefully we'll have, but you'll have the Uncanny Starter set, so we can talk about all those cards and what the consensus is on some of those characters. So yes, thanks for listening. You can get in touch with us by emailing us at bachelorsofdice@gmail.com if you have any questions or comments. We certainly love feedback. Our website is thebachelorsofdice.wordpress.com, where we basically just house the feed. Although we also put our podcasts and versus episodes up on our YouTube page, which is www.youtube.com/Bachelors of Dice. And chances are the podcast will hit the YouTube page before it hits the website, just because of the way Adam does the editing, and it's just quicker to do it that way. Versus games, we haven't actually played any lately, although I believe...
We've tried to get our schedules lined up.
Yeah, it's been a real hit and miss here lately.
Yeah.
And yeah, between moving and the vacation, obviously I've been out of commission, but now that we're getting settled into the new house, I will have some more time to play and definitely want to play. So definitely looking forward to getting a versus game up onto our YouTube page in the near future. One way or the other, we'll get some more content up there. Other than that, there's a bunch of kind of off-topic stuff that we could get into, but we can kind of save that, I think, for next time as well, unless there's anything Marvel related you guys were dying to talk about.
No, I would like
still
to.
haven't seen that movie.
What? Are you the only person that hasn't? Because I'm pretty sure it's the highest-grossing movie of the year.
It
They haven't got my money
absolutely
yet.
They anyone who hasn't seen Guardians of the Galaxy, including Adam, needs to go see it. I think it's on track to be Marvel's highest-grossing movie ever.
Wow.
And
That's
it's certainly
good.
the highest-grossing movie of the year. It's it's kept going strong. Like, I don't think anybody, including Marvel, expected it to do as well as it's doing. But that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm going to go see it again before Adam sees it once.
You'll probably get to do that too.
Yeah, really, do yourself a favor. Go see that movie. It's good. And then, yeah, we got Age of Ultron. Less than a year away. 9 months away, I guess. Which should be just as good, if not better. All right. Well, yes. Closing statements. Anybody? Speak now.
Oh, no, I think I've said my piece.
I have nothing to contribute to closing statements.
All right. Well, once again, thank you for listening. Episode 7. We're coming up on double digits, so we're looking forward to getting that out there. And yeah, hit us up on Facebook or email or the website or wherever. And yeah, thanks for listening. We will see you next time.